prison we broke by Baby Kamli, Chapter 6. Our woman offers their entire life to the service of Mother Earth. But when they themselves become mother, what do they get? After having given birth to their children, they have to tie up their bellies and lie down helplessly. In those days, there would be no food in the house, not even the water left over from boiling rice, to satiate the fire of the hunger raging inside the belly of the new mother. After the baby comes out into the world, a terrible void is left inside. The stomach needs soft and light food. But from where could Mahar get such food? With the hunger gnawing her inside, the poor woman would just tie up her stomach tightly and light on the rage. Her body a mass of ashes and eggs and pain. Mahar woman would go out begging in the neighborhood and try to collect at least a handful of grains. Some woman would procure from somewhere a little jowar, tie it carefully in her belly, her pallav, and bring it to the house where the poor mother lay. She would give the jowar to the woman in the house, would crush the grains on the grinding stone and cook the coarse flour in water. The gruel on the grinding stone and cook the coarse flour in water. The gruel would be poured onto the wooden plate and mixed up with a little oil, if there was any. Otherwise, the mother would eat it plain to quench the raging hunger in her stomach. There is a saying that a black cow can survive even on thrones. Our woman would like that proverbial black cow. Even on the occasions when they had a right to be indulged a bit, they had to fill their stomach with thorns to stay alive. Daughters usually went to their mother's house for their first delivery. Not that there was a great deal of difference between the house of their parents and that of in-laws. Poverty and adversities were the same for Mahar everywhere. The one thing that was found in abundance was firewood, and so the girl after the delivery was given plenty of hot bath, and that was used to be so painful. Actually, the ordeal begins when the time the labor pain sets. In the first place, the girl generally would be very young as all girls were married off at the very tender age. Obviously, they were physically quite underdeveloped at the time of their first pregnancy. The labor pains would continue for quite a long time, sometimes for even 3 to 4 days. The whole of the Maharwada, in fact, would gather around the house, where the woman in the case did not have much work to do at home, so they would simply flock to the house where a delivery was taking place. The ignorant midwives would keep thrusting their hands into the poor girl's vagina to see how far the baby has progressed. Invariably, the vagina would got swollen, obstructing the baby's path. The girl would overcome all obstacles and have a safe delivery only if her luck had strong. It was better with death. Her parents would be in petrified state till she delivers the baby. They did whatever they could for her safety. That whatever did not cost any money. The poor girl would keep screaming aloud in pain, and their hearts would be rent apart. The girl's mother especially would be in a state of utter shock and bewilderment. People would suggest 100 different things to her. The elderly woman would come out with their own advice. You should go to the stream, take a bath, keep the weight sari on then go and pay it a visit to the goddess Lakamai and pour water over her. Pray to her for an easy delivery. Don't forget to ask her to allow your daughter to return to her husband, place safe and sound along with the baby. Then the poor mother would hurry to the stream to bath, then pour water over all the saffron-coated stones of the goddess Lakshmi. Worship them with haldi and kumkum and pray for the daughter's safe delivery. Her teeth would chatter with the cold and fear, and when finally the daughter gave birth to the baby, the relief that she felt would be so intense that she would nearly faint. But the ordeal would not yet be over for the poor girl. Helpless, she would lie completely at the mercy of the women surrounded her. Her vagina would be swollen stiff as the surrounded women kept thrusting their hands inside. There would be several wounds and cuts inside and and throbbed with unbearable pain. Even when in front of the cotton or cloth pads, blood continued to flow. Why the girl would be fortunate if the family could find even some dirty rags for her. That was the extent of the poverty. Then the girl's mother would heat some water. In the meanwhile, her father dig a pit in one corner of the hut for her bath. The soil dug out from the pit would be spread all over the hut. Once the pit was ready, they would spread stick on the top of the pit, but the spade and the other tools used for the digging inside the pit make the new mother sit up the stick. They would give her a bath with scalding hot water. They would massage her as well, but of course without any oil. They went on till they started sweating profusely. Then they would spread the dry paddy upon the floor. That would be her bed for the next 12 days. She would make to lie naked upon it, her sari spread over her a cover. After the hot water bath, she would give the hot coal treatment, that is piece of burning coal with kept around her to keep her warm. This made the poor girl sweat even more, and if she was having another hot bath, only after all the torture was over, she was allowed to sleep. Then the newborn baby would be given bath with hot water. People lived in the field, yet no one would told them about the use of soap. Women would spit on their palms and clean the baby's face with the saliva. Then they bathe the baby till it became completely exhausted. Both water and fuel were free of charge. Anyone, they might even be to bathe they. Then they bathed the baby till it became completely exhausted. Both water and fuel were free of charge anyway. So there might be 2 baths a day. But what? The crushed jowar would be cooked till it was soft. Some jaggery and little oil would be added to it before it given to the mother. It was believed that the baby would not suffer from stomach ache if the mother was fed with soft gruel. The hungry mother would quickly pour it down her throat, feeling utterly exhausted, threw herself down on her straw mattress and closed her eyes. Sleep would be instant and peaceful in her stomach was full. A neem twig would be hung at the doorstep as a sign that house had a new baby. The visitor had to stop at the entrance of the 5 minutes and spit 3 times before being allowed to enter. This was supposed to ward off any evil spirit that might have accompanied the visitor. Of course, it was only the more fortunate that would enjoy the luxury of eating cooked jawar, though this was the cheapest grain available. Many new mother had to go hungry. They would lie down pinning for a few morsels while hunger ground their inside. Most women suffer this fate. Labor pains, mishandling by the midwives, wounds infected by the onlookers' nails, even groaning hunger, infected wounds with pus oozing out, hot water bathe, hot colds, perfume sweating. Everything caused a new mother's condition worsen and she would end up getting a burning fever. On the most occasion it was tenacious. The family would have to look after the infant on the one hand and the suffering mother on the other hand. There would be neither food nor money, only unlimited grief and suffering. The fever was often called Madna Madan Vayu. Heated discussion would follow. Many remedies which did not cost any money would be freely prescribed and followed. Some women would become possessed with the spirit of some of the goddess would speak out. This girl is possessed by an evil spirit. The Hadal from that place, Tati possessed her. She had come into the house lodged in the feet of neighbor. The girl met the spirit eye exactly to 12 o'clock. Now, I will tell you that the remedy is take some oil, jowar, beaten jowar, kajal, kumkum, in bowl, move the bowl over the girl's body and then put it under the banyan tree at midnight. The evil bitch ties a swing to the banyan tree and sits swinging there to her heart's content. She is evil, I tell you. Will she will simply take away the body she possessed. The suffering of the woman would be beyond endurance. Even the onlookers found it difficult to watch her plight. Her family smeared her forehead ash from the chulas. 2 or 3 days would pass like this. People around her would try to soothe her with kindness. Life is in the poor mother gradually diminishes and she would finally sink. Many young girls on the threshold of their lives come to death. Once in every 10 lost their lives during childbirth. Infants died as well. The fear of the dead drove people to the goddess Satvai and they would perform all the customary rituals. On the fifth day, a ritual called Pachvi would be performed. On this day, there would be a lot of work in the house. If no dead animal could be found in the village, if no dead animal could be found in the village, an animal would be killed as a sacrificial offering to the goddess. The new mother, it was believed, needed to eat 5 particular organs of the animal on this day. An elder woman collected these in big earthen pot and immediately carried the pot home to cook the organs to a soft pulp. If no dead animal could be found in the village, an animal would be killed as sacrificial offering to the goddess. The new mother, it was believed, needed to eat 5 particular organs of an animal on this day. The elderly woman in the house would wake up early and polish the floor and the chulas with the cow dung. The new mother would be given a water bath. 4 dry jowar sticks would be placed in the 4 corners of the house. The woman in the family went and stood in front of the queue. If a dead animal was being skinned and staked their claim on the 5 organ required as offering to the goddess Satvai. The butcher would nod with understanding and give the woman in required organ, the kidney, the stomach, the liver, and organ with several veins that looked like a slipper, and the large intestine full of fat. The woman collected these in a big earthen pot and immediately carried the pot home to cook the organ to a soft pulp. At sunset, the woman would get busy. First, they would take seven small stones, wash and arrange them on the bathe pit in line of the smear themselves in haldi and kumkum. The big earthen pot would be kept on the bathe pit and lamp heated. Floor was lightened inside. Then the black stool and the flame was gathered and applied to the stone. The cooked limbs were offered as a sacrifice. Then the mother was covered with a blanket and the baby put at the feet of the goddess and is in front of 7 stones. After this, the mother was given a large plate full of cooked organ. After the meal, she was made to wipe her tongue with the tattered piece of the chewed cloth. It was believed that by doing so, she would prevent the baby from getting stomach ache. Then her mother had to keep vigil the whole night without even a wink of sleep. No cat was to be allowed inside. It was believed that the goddess Satvai and the god Barma visited the house at midnight to write a baby's future on his forehead. Barama, it was believed, had a pen with which he had made Satvai write the fate of the baby. This is a saying that Barma's words and Satvai's writings are indelible and can never be wiped off. But didn't all the babies in the Mahar community share the same fate? So what was there to write on the forehead of each baby? Actually, both Barman and Satvai probably give the Mahar household a miss, or they must have made a common stamp for all the Mahar children. In any case, what was so glorious in the life of Mahar that could choose to write about? So, no common stamp was probably more than adequate all the Mahars. Today, if we come across Barman and Satvai, we would like to give them both the sound thrashing and ask, Barman and Satvai, you ruined the lives of generations of the Mahars. You wrote our fates, didn't you? Religion must have bribed you quite well to do this. Otherwise, why should you have done this? Religion must have handed over a stamp to Barman instead of pen to Satvai. You kept sealing our fate with your writing, and yet our simple folk were so loyal to you and your religion. But now we are more than a match for you. Do you realize, fine, you stamp a fate of misery on our forehead 10 times and we suffered 1,000 times more, but now we have vanquished you. We have true power because we have shed sattva and niti, and they stand supreme in the whole world. Thousands of 4 generations were sacrificed and their lives were utterly ruined. Millions perished, but their essence of the truth and morality did not. This endures steep into the soil and enriched it, and then a small sapling grew out of the enriched soil. It went on to become a huge tree of the light and truth. It gave shelter to millions of were suffering. The tree transformed beast into human being. This tree was at the ideal human being by our own Buddha. But 1930 onward, his name started reaching village like a gentle breeze and brings succor in the scorching sun. Our Bhima Raja decided to wake his people who had sunk to the level of subhumans. He began to organize small meetings and speaking to the people, but reaching out to millions of the people was stupendous. Then the senior leader of the Mumbai decided to organize meeting at the time of Jatras because that was the time when all the people in the community would gather together. The elder looked up the job of enlightening ignorant people with Baba Saheb Ambedkar's thought, and their words would found a right into the people's heart. The first meeting was organized on the Purnima night in the morning of the Chitra in Jejuri. God Khandoba of Jejuri had been family deity of the Mahars of generations. They flocked to the Jatra from various places, walking for several miles. In Jejuri, a huge crowd Mahars yellowed with haldi, flocked at the Mahar Chowdi for the meeting. Dr. Ambedkar was topic of the discussion among them all. Hey, you have heard, it seems there is a meeting of the Mahar in the Chowdi. One would say, another would respond immediately, yes, you people from the Veergaon, this is exactly what our relatives from the Saswad was saying. You know, they say it's this boy Ambedkar belongs to our Mahar community, but he has been educated at the place far beyond the 7 seas. Such great education he had, imagine he returned to Mumbai in a ship, and he can actually speak in the White Sahib's own tongue and hold his own. This would be enough for an invitation for yet another to chip in. This man is nothing less than a miracle for God. That's why they have been able to cross the 7 seas. Anyway, let's sit down and listen to what he says to you. What he says. There was many, of course, who, after having eaten till there seems birds, just wanted to lie down to some place and would have listened to anyone. But many wanted to listen specifically to Ambedkar. There's a lot of people gathered at the Chowdi and in the moonlight camped on large ground in front of the Chowdi. My Ajja from Mumbai had also come from this meeting. Even my grand aunt Bikai Aji had come, and they too were among the audience. When Dr. Ambedkar arrived in his car, they would not believe their eyes. They had never expected their own man to arrive in a car, dressed in a European clothes, open mouths. They gaped at him in the sheer amusement. It was difficult for Babu to reach the open mouth, and they gaped at him in sheer amazement. It was difficult to Baba to reach the Chowdi thought, and the milling crowds, they surged forward to see him. Somehow he made his way to the Chowdi and began his speech. My brothers and sisters, all you folks, including the old man, women and children who have come to Jejuri from far off places, you walked barefoot for 8 to 10 days to get here. While on the way you were tired, your feet ached, and you had nothing but a few stale pieces of bakri to eat. Yet you kept on walking, finally reached Jejuri. Why? Because you wanted to see your family deity Khandoba. But tell me, did Khandoba see you? What did you say to you? Could you see your condition? Did he see your suffering? Generations after generations, our people have paid homage to this God. They did not mind the discomfort. You too come after the arduous journey, but did your Khandoba see you? Could you meet him really? Why have you come after having suffering so much? You have no clothes to wear, you have nothing to eat, you have no place to stay, and yet you come here, year after year, you walk barefoot for the sake of this God. You your God should at least have inquired after you. Did he? Now, if he can't do anything for you, why do you take so much trouble for him? The stone step in front of the God's temple have been worn away by helpless people beating their heads against those steps in utter supplication. But has he ever taken mercy on you? What God has this God ever done to you? Your people have served the village, the upper caste communities for ages. You clean their old filth, and what do they do to you? They feed you with their dead animals. Even then, this God does not take pity on you. Do you know something? You don't worship God, you worship your ignorance. The generation after generation of Mahars have ruined themselves with such superstition, and what have you got in return from this God? From now onwards, you have to follow the different path. You must educate your children, divorce your children from God, teach them good things, send them to school. The result will be there for you to see. When your children begin to be educated, your conditions will start improving. Your family, your life will improve. Your children will bring you out of this hell. We are humans. We too have the rights to live as a human being. Your children will make you aware of this. Our women have had a major role in being so superstitious, but I'm sure they will now give up these superstitions and take a lead in educating their children. They will have the honor of being the first to take this step forward. I have full faith in you, my sisters. Go ahead, educate your children. Let all our women take this step. Discard all such customs that strengthen our ignorance. My poor dear brothers and sisters, do not eat carcasses anymore. Don't clean the filth of the village. Let those who make the filth clean it up themselves. Let us teach them this lesson. The slavery which has been imposed upon us will not despair easily. For this we need to bring out the revolution. Let 3/4 of our population die in this endeavor, then at least the remaining fourth will be able to live their lives with dignity. At least their future will be better. I appeal to you, my mother and sister, be the first one to step forward for reform. Baba Sahib's sturdy physique, his glowing youth, his fair complexion, his high forehead, and his European attire, his suit and boot, all of these impress people to no end. They basked in the warmth and glory of his words that were like elixir to them. It was as if all their sufferings had finally earned them a glorious reward. They left with his words echoing in the enormous core of their hearts, feeling deliriously happy. The mirage of their aspiration and dream had taken a real form. His words and his defiant spirit has electrified the woman. Bikai Aji was born in Mumbai. She was used to addressing meeting and did not experience stage fright. She climbed onto the stage and made a fiery, resounding speech addressing the huge crowd in the presence of Baba Sahib. Let me assure you, my sister, what Bhimrao Ambedkar says is absolutely right. We must educate our children. We must not and will not eat dead animals. We must reform our community. Let us resolve to fight along with Ambedkar. He spoke nothing but the truth. Let us follow him to end. This is why I say. This meeting finally come to an end. Ambedkar has mesmerized everybody in the huge crowd. My grandparents started repeating Ambedkar's word to every person they met. They never got tired of repeating the things that he said. All the people who come to our house had to listen to them. That Ambedkar was a dynamic young man. He had a return from the beyond and seven seas after getting educated there, just like a white Sahib, and he's so learned like the Sahib too. He is so tall, so big and so fair, and such a high forehead he had. Is dressed like a Sahib and also looks like one. When he got down from his car, we thought a governor was stepping out. What a speech he made, as if it was a meeting attended by Lord Indra in heaven. Ambedkar said, start educating all Mahar children. Stop eating dead animals. We must reform ourselves. Don't stay ignorant anymore. Don't believe in God and religion. He said too many things. How many? Cannot tell you this. His words have rented my heart. My Ajji spoke as if he was drunk. My Ajja spoke as if he was drunk with his happiness. He would gather people in the chowdi and repeat to them what Baba Sahib has said in the meeting. Ajja said to the Kharbari, we must now give up eating dead animals. Ambedkar know what he's saying. He had been educated in the white man's land. Is he made to say to without a reason? He says this is because he knows something about it. It's time to discard this madness. Look at our people in the cities, how they have progressed. Now put our children into school first. Give up cleaning the filth of our others. Don't eat dead animals. Look at that cleaning. Young man's concern for us now. We should listen to him and do as he says. Listen, he is our own, of our flesh and blood. He has become a barrister. Now tell me, he does not know more than us. And the Kharbari did not like this. He was quite upset. Finally, he got exasperated with my IT and gesticulating wildly burst out, what are you saying, Malari? Stop teaching us with this padri knowledge of yours. You ask us to give up our custom of eating dead animals. You are asking us to revolt against the village. I have listened to you for too long. Suppose we give up all this and you, Ambedkar says, and then how can we call ourselves true Mahars? Aren't we the hidden children? Aren't we the children of this land? The duty of being the Yeskar has been earned by our forefathers. They worked so hard for it. They suffered a lot, but they never thought about giving it up. And you suddenly want us to give it all up? You get these silly ideas suffered and your head, and then come up with pour them down to us. Stop preaching us this Christian knowledge. Why do you want us to put our children in school? Are they going to become teachers or they are going to become Brahmins? Send them to school indeed. That is pure drive. Listen, you cannot make the river flow backward. The village land is our mother and we have to carry forward whatever order she had given. Why do we need foreign knowledge? The Yashkar stick is the mark of the happiness of the land. We have us in real Mahar flesh and blood, and you preach as this Christian knowledge. You and your sister-in-law, both of you are nothing sort of troublemakers. The women also keep blabbering the same nonsense constantly. You survived on the morals of the army where you served, but what are the real Mahar? We will last forever. God has drawn a line of us and you want us to cross it. Listen, we are born for this work. That's our sacred duty. Why should we give up our religion, our duty? We are the real origins and pure Mahars. We aren't any of these half-backed converts. Listen, that Ambedkar has turned your head with his strange foreign knowledge, and he had lived among foreigners. That isn't the polluted. Probably he has become a Christian. That's why he preached his padri knowledge. What else he tell us, if not all this foreign Christian knowledge? Now you and your sister-in-law come and pour down that our heads. Listen, Malari, the Yashkara staff is not just an ordinary stick with a bat. It is no less than a royal staff. It is the mark of the real strength of the Mahar. The Mahar is a very proud breed. You say, don't offer woman a murali or jog to God. You don't want to offer a man and Potharaja in the service of the God. Then what is in that you want? Tea and roti. Listen, a Murli woman in the first fruit obtained by a couple of their marriage, she had to be offered as the feet of our God, Khandarya. We have been doing so for ages. That's why we have this blessing and our children are protected. And the jotting also, a woman offered to our goddess, and you don't want to do any of this. You are all set to burn and destroy a living tree. The string of the heads in this sacred baskets are the mass of the mother goddess. You take these things as ordinary. Do you know if the goddess is displeased, she can ruin the entire house. She will burn our house as punishment. The Potharaja is supposed to be the servants of the goddess. Do you think that this is an ordinary thing? Is it a great honor to give to us? Stupid man, come and tell us to forget our gods and give us Christian gods instead. No. For us, what our ancestors did is the right thing. My Ajja encountered angrily. Listen, Tatya, if you want to worship those gods of yours, you are free to do. But why ruin the lives of the young people? Then another man come forward with yet another set of the argument. Listen, Malari, God Kandariya is the deity of the All Mahar. He blessed us with so many fruits, and what is harm in offering him one of the hours? Why should we hesitate to do so? The custom of the Murali is actually an honor given to our house. She is supposed to be the true God's wife. A Murali is married to God. This God has a fiery temper. If we don't do so, he will lose his temper and punish us. He can wreak such havoc that we will left whimpering like dogs. And you also like us not to offer our girls to goddess Ambabai as Jogtins. But that too is wrong. Why, if we offer one fruit to her, she will bless us with many more in return. The goddess Ambabai specially favor those houses and offer her a girl as Jogtin. The house became the favorite stop these idiots arguments, Malari. There were innumerable such arguments of the counter arguments. The Chowdi resounds with people ceaselessly debating these issues. The wind of the Ambedkar's thought had started blowing increasingly, though its force was now very strong yet. Several activists in the movement, such as Remse Madhale, Gaikwad, along with many others, organized meeting after meeting during Jatras, addressing people and bringing about a change in their perception. It was as if Dr. Ambedkar was God. People had come to pray for bringing about a change in their lives. And people began to change slowly but steadily. They began to be aware. Parents now discard their loin cloth for the children and begin dressing them up in pajamas. Children also got used to new attire. They began cutting the hair of their young daughters. The style was called English ball. Parents began to enroll their children in school. Gradually, the wind of the Ambedkar's thought turned into the whirlwind. Everybody began to understand, argue, and consider. The dead cells in their blood were charged with a new life. Blood began to flow through their veins in new vigor. People got charged with the spirit of revolution. There was one name on everyone's tongue, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. This included the young and the old with no exception. Each hut reverberated with his name. Young men began to argue about the custom of eating dead animals. They were convinced that the custom had to be discarded. The old habits die hard, especially among older people. However, they could not hold their own in the argument with the young men and found themselves completely outwitted. It was the youth everywhere who brought about this radical change. Yet, there were some families who would scarcely obtain carcasses. The young men of the community started excommunicating these families. They were not allowed to come to any wedding if they were found sitting meals in the public function. They were served food in broken pieces of a clay pot. After such public humiliation, people learned their lesson and mended their ways. Once they gave up such habits, the community began accepting them back into its fold. Our village, Veergaon, also witnessed such changes. Generally, the Jatra at Jejuri on the full moon night in Chaitra would be preceded by the Jatra in Veergaon on the full moon night of the month of the Magh. The temple of the god Mashkoba was very famous all over. People far from all places would come from this Jatra, but it was the daughters of the Veergaon, girls who got married and had gone away, were very particular about attending the Jatra. They never failed to come for this Jatra. Once my Masi had come from Mumbai for this Jatra. As luck would have, some sick animal died in the next morning. Now, Ajja was on the alert as my Masi loved to eat meat. The moment she heard that the animal would be slaughtered and distributed among the community, my Ajji went and stood first in the queue. The animal was duly skinned, putrid, decayed parts were thrown away, and the flesh was cut into pieces to be distributed among the people according to their share. My Ajji's share did not contain any liver, thigh, and other such coveted parts. So she started arguing with the Kharbari who was distributing the parts. Look, my daughter has come all over from Mumbai, and she had asked me to get the liver, thigh, and such portion. Give those to me. The Kharbari did not agree. He said, why are you so keen to having only those portions? Anyway, you can't have it. take your share if you want. But my Ajji was firm and refused to listen and started arguing with the man loudly. Everybody from the Marwada were there and they were waiting for their turn, and the children crawling around at the heap of the meat ready to be distributed. None of them was willing to exchange their share with her. This instant, my Ajji so much that she shouted, "Anybody who eat dead animal today will eat a pig." Like the Muslims, the Mahars were prohibited from eating pig meat. They could not even utter the word pig. No sooner did my Ajji utter the word pig than people started spitting on disgust and horror. They threw away their shares of the meat back on the skin spread of the ground. Some women got up to beat my Ajji. Others started cursing loudly for having deprived them of their meat. But all the young men who had gathered around were very happy. They congratulated my Ajji. We would done Sita Yahini. They said, you did a good thing. Today you have given the Maharwada fresh insight. This is exactly what Ambedkar has been saying. If you listen to Sita Yavahini, that's what she is saying too. So let us make resolution, and first now will not eat dead animal. This did our Marwara join the Ambedkar's movement. Everybody took oath and never to eat dead animal, and atmosphere resounded with this slogan. Bhimrao ki jai. From that day work, the Mahar and Veergaon stopped eating dead animals. Even today, when people come together, the memories of this incident come alive. Everybody admits that the Sita Yahini was the first to stop the eating of the dead animal in Veergaon.